So it's very clear that back in the 2000s, there was this really interesting chain that we had where we had like X-Men 1 and X-Men 2, and they're both awesome. Then we had Spider-Man 1 and Spider-Man 2, and they're both awesome. Then we had Fantastic Four, which is good but not great, but I still kind of like the movie. And then Fantastic Four, Rise of the Silver Surfer, which is, in my opinion, just kind of okay. I don't hate Rise of the Silver Surfer, but I can understand a lot of the problems with it. And a lot of it just stems to the fact that it looks a lot cheaper, even though it's a bigger budget. The first one was 100 million, which is pretty big for 2005. But then the sequel cost 130 million, and it profited less than the first one. So that's my issue. That's an issue with them. It costs more, but it looks less finished. Like it doesn't look as good. It didn't age as well as the first one, and the first one's 2 years older than it. The Silver Surfer looks great. I mean, he looks great because they practicaled him and then added some CGI to kind of touch him up. That's fine. But a lot of those certain shots, there are certain shots where you could tell where the green screen is and where the real standing begins, and it just doesn't work. And the how, like when Johnny's Flame Dawn doesn't really look any better than it did. The stretching is way more noticeable, even though it is noticeable in the 2005 movie. But for some reason, the stretching just looks way more noticeable. But I will say the thing still looks good. Michael Chiklis obviously still looks good. And even when Johnny and Ben switch for the 5 second scene, he still looks pretty good. I was like, so the thing suits look good when they make them look like the thing. But when they aren't, it just looks really bad. It just doesn't look good. And the obvious issues with Rise of the Silver Surfer is the fact that the Silver Surfer does not lose his powers when you knock him off the board. It does not have a straight up chain to his powers. I hate that some people really use that movie as reference, even though that is not the case at all. Silver Surfer knocked off his board is still as powerful. And it is one way that they had to come up with to cripple him per se for Doom to get the board and to copy the comic, where Doom gets the board and he's ridiculously powerful because but outside of that, Doom also captured the Silver Surfer and was harnessing his power from him as well, not just knock him off the board and doesn't have his powers. But then again, like I said, the movie is weirdly enough, it's a lot more focused than the first movie, but somehow it still ended up being worse. And like I said, Silver Surfer is the best part by far. Like no one even comes close. Michael Chiklis and Ewan Griffith are still great, but Silver Surfer is cool because Lawrence Fishburne is awesome. I think he's like a really good choice for voice him. And Doug Jones doing the mocap is cool as well because it's Doug Jones. Come on now. So there's pluses to the movie. I do like the idea that they try to at least adapt such a deep comic like Silver Surfer and the Coming of Galactus, but the problem is the budgets, it just doesn't look good. And then obviously Galactus was terrible. It was a big ass cloud, and you kind of get a little silhouette of his helmet shape on one of Saturn's rings, but that was the closest we were getting to like actual Galactus. So it's like, yeah, coming of Galactus, we see Silver Surfer, he's great. His little end scene is cool, even though that's also not what goes on in the comic because it just kind of mildly annoys Galactus, but he doesn't actually like destroy Galactus. But it's one of those films where it's just annoying more so than like beneficial, especially since it didn't even profit as much as the first one, if not, did worse, and it looks worse, and some of the character moments are worse. It's just like, man, they really just didn't know what to do, and also just want to throw in, wow, they really did everything they could to make Jessica Alba look not ethnic, and it just didn't work. If anything, I thought she looked crazy as hell. Those blue contacts were terrible. And then not to mention the blonde hair they did to her, she just looked so not human. Like she just looked she looked like she got some work done on that joint. Like, and she wasn't ugly, but she just didn't look human. There's no way Jessica Alba was ugly. Like that was Jessica Alba in her prime. Like, let's be real here, bro. But yeah, the story starts, opens up, the Silver Surfer's flying to Earth. He gets to Earth. He starts causing all these disruptions. He starts causing, like, little ecosystem things to take place, because I guess that's what the Power Cosmic does now. And he just is there, and he's going around for a while. Obviously, Reed and Sue are about to get married. Probably one of the best Stan Lee cameos ever happens. The wedding gets messed up because Silver flies by, because apparently he knew he was getting tracked, destroyed the machine. In the process, Johnny has to chase him, catches up to him. It's a really cool scene. Actually, that chase scene was like the first glimpse of the movie before they actually made a trailer. And I remember thinking, like, yo, this is a cool scene, actually. The scene where he's chasing Silver Surfer's cool. And then, Surfer catches him. That really awesome shot over Earth where he just drops Johnny back down. That is one of the coolest shots in one of those 2000 superhero movies. I love that shot. The movie has some really cool shots and some really bold moments for what they had at the time, which I can give a plus to, because they did not have to go that hard on those Silver Surfer scenes. They didn't have to go that hard on Silver Surfer, but he's cool. Little appearance by Andre Brower, R.I.P. homie. I got to throw that out there real quick. Andre Brower showing up. He's here. He's Captain Holt, but a general, but not funny. And is actually kind of happy when he gets killed, because he's kind of a dick. Julian McMahon is awful. Yeah, I stand by that. Actually, I think he's worse here than he was in the first one. He's awful. He's just not a good. He's just not good. He wasn't a good Doctor Doom. He was the worst Doctor Doom in this one. Even if they did do the cool Doom getting the Silver Surfer board and doing stuff, he had it for 5 minutes. He gets knocked out by a crane after Johnny super scrolls, hint, hint, and then you don't see him again. And it's like, wow, he really just wanted to wrap this up, huh? I mean, obviously, he probably just wasn't dead or anything. It was just, get Doom out the way, like always. But, the movie it just kind of goes into this weird part where I think it makes sense for a character development, but it felt a little forced, was Johnny being forced to learn responsibility. And that's fine. I like the fact that Johnny gets that lesson, but it just didn't feel like didn't really feel natural. And sometimes lessons like that feel natural, but in that case it didn't. But I'm glad he learned something. Somebody came out of this movie learning something, because it seemed like nobody really did. I mean, I guess Reed learned to cherish Sue a little bit more, because Silver Surfer told him to. But at the end of the day, the movie just kind of falls under the, it could have been really good, but we got that movie. So I'll say it's still okay, because I don't hate the film. But ultimately, the movie just doesn't really add anything more to the FF team. Like, they don't really seem to have developed any more than they were when we saw them. So, the movie, like I said, so it's just a movie that could have been great. And I think it could have been a really good, in the next line of like good superhero sequels. I think this could have been one of them, but they just fumbled the bag so hard that it just doesn't. But that's just, I would say Fantastic Four: Rise of the Surfer is like, if I gave the first one like a 6.5 to 7, I'll give Rise of the Surfer like a 6 to a 6.5, just off of that. But yeah, this has been a good thing. The for two Fantastic Four movies. I refuse to watch Fan Four Stick. I'm not going to sit myself through that again. I would rather jump off of a building and land on my stomach directly on a spike before I sit through Fan Four Stick again. I can't bring myself to do that. But I will be watching the two animated series. So, I'll probably do some reviews on those at some point. And yeah, so this has been a good time. I'll see you guys on the next one. Like, comment, and subscribe for more.